Someone in your life is manipulating you, and the terrifying part, they don't even know they're doing it. That is what makes it impossible to catch, until now. You walked away feeling smaller, not hurt, not angry, just off. You replayed it 3 times and found nothing wrong. That search, that is the trap. You were not confused, you were handled. 6 documented dark psychology tactics. Each one is happening right now, at work, at home, in your closest relationships. The moment you name these moves, they lose all power over you. Let's begin. Boundary test. Most people think setting a boundary means saying no, then waiting to see what happens next. But that's only half the picture. Here's the real problem. You keep saying no, they keep pushing, and somehow you end up feeling like you're the difficult one. That cycle has a name and a fix. Here's what's actually happening. A boundary is not a wall, it is a test. When you set a clear, reasonable limit, their reaction tells you exactly who they are and what they want from you. You say, "I need you to stop doing that." A decent person adjusts. They might push back once, but they adjust. A manipulator does something different. They smile, they agree, and then they do it again, slightly smaller, slightly later, just enough that you question whether it even counts. That pattern is the tell, not the violation, the repetition after the agreement. Here's your move. Set the boundary once, say it clearly, then go completely quiet. Watch the behavior, not the words. 3 weeks of behavior is the truth. What they say in the moment is the performance. Call out. Most people think calling someone out means raising your voice, making it public, creating a scene. Wrong approach entirely. Here's the real problem. Every time you try to address the behavior, it turns into a fight, and suddenly you're defending yourself instead of getting answers. That happens because you're doing it wrong, not loudly, wrong strategically. Here's what's actually happening. A real call-out is quiet and precise. You name the specific behavior in private with 0 emotion, no accusation, no anger, just one clean fact delivered like a statement, not an attack. You sit across from them and say, "Last Tuesday you told me X. Thursday you did Y. I noticed the difference." Then you stop. You say nothing else. Watch their face in the 2 seconds after that sentence. Someone with nothing to hide gets curious or confused. A manipulator either deflects instantly, changes the subject, brings up something you did, or goes ice cold. That 2-second window is the exposure. You gave them a mirror. Their instinct tells you everything. Here's what actually works. 1 sentence, 1 specific fact, no emotion attached. The simpler and calmer the delivery, the harder it is to dodge. Consistency. Most people assume that when someone acts differently day to day, they're just stressed, busy, or having an off week. Look closer, much closer. Here's the real problem. You keep adjusting yourself to match their mood. Some days they're warm and close, other days cold and distant, and you spend the whole day trying to figure out what you did wrong. You find nothing. You try harder anyway. That exhaustion is not accidental. Here's what's actually happening. Inconsistency in a manipulator is not a character flaw. It is a deliberate strategy. When you cannot predict how someone will behave, you stop focusing on yourself and start managing them. You are permanently slightly off balance. That is exactly where they need you. Warm on Tuesday, cold on Friday. You replay the whole week looking for your mistake. That search for your own fault, that is exactly the point. They never wanted your understanding. They wanted your full attention. Here's how you break it. For 2 weeks, write down the behavior, not your feelings, just the facts. Warm Tuesday, cold Friday. Pattern. The moment you see it on paper, it stops feeling personal and starts looking like a system. That shift changes everything. Documentation. Most people think keeping records is something you do after things get serious. Lawyers, HR, formal complaints. By then, it's already too late. Here's the real problem. You remember the conversation clearly, they remember it completely differently. And because nothing was written down, you have no ground to stand on. Your word against theirs. That gap is not a coincidence, it's the weapon. Here's what's actually happening. Documentation is not paperwork, it is psychological armor. The moment you start writing things down, what was said, when, who was there, you take away the manipulator's most reliable tool. Your memory can be questioned, a written record cannot.
After every conversation that matters, you send one email, just confirming what we discussed today. You screenshot the message, you date the note, 30 seconds of your time. They never know you were doing it, but the moment they say that never happened, you have the record, and they know it. Plausible deniability collapses the moment there is a paper trail. That is exactly the point. Start here, 3 lines after every important conversation. What was said, who was present, what was decided. That is your shield. Start tonight. But all of this was leading somewhere darker, outsider view. Most people think going to someone else about a relationship problem is gossip or a sign of weakness or being disloyal. That thinking is costing you clarity. Here's the real problem. You have been inside this situation too long. You have history, context, and emotion attached to every single memory. And all 3 of those things are making you worse at seeing clearly, not better. The more you know, the harder it is to see straight. Here's what's actually happening. Someone watching from the outside with none of that weight can spot the pattern in 30 seconds that you have been missing for 3 years. Their distance is not ignorance, it is clarity you no longer have access to. You describe the situation to a trusted friend, not to vent, not to get validation. You describe it the way a reporter would, just the behavior, just the facts. Then you stop talking, and you watch their face. Pay attention to the first word out of their mouth, not the advice, not the explanation. The first instinctive reaction, before politeness kicks in, before they decide to protect your feelings. That first word is the truth. Here is the one thing to do. Find one person with no stake in the outcome, someone who gains nothing from agreeing with you. Tell them only what happened, not how it made you feel. Then ask one question. Does that sound normal to you? Notice the hesitation before they answer. Normal people do not hesitate at that question. You already knew something was wrong. The outsider view is simply the confirmation your gut has been waiting for. You know what gaslighting looks like. You've heard about manipulation, but there's one technique that has quietly destroyed more relationships, careers, and legal cases than almost anything else, and almost no one knows its name. DARVO. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. Here's the real problem. You finally get the courage to bring up the issue. You have the facts, you stay calm, and somehow, within 60 seconds, you're the one apologizing. You walk away confused, you feel guilty. You spend 3 days wondering if you pushed too hard. That did not happen by accident. Here's what's actually happening. The moment you bring the accusation, they flip the entire frame. Suddenly you were the problem. You were aggressive, you were unstable, you were causing harm. They become the victim of your attack. They did not just deny, they rewrote the entire story with you as the villain in real time, right in front of you. That confusion, that guilt, it was manufactured on purpose. Here is how you shut it down. The moment someone responds to your concern by immediately making you the problem, stop. Say this out loud. I noticed this conversation shifted from my concern to my character. One sentence. It breaks the entire pattern cold. A person running DARVO cannot recover once the mechanism is named out loud. The most powerful manipulation is the one that makes you doubt your right to speak. This was never just information. It was a shift. You now see the architecture beneath the behavior. The fog they needed, gone. The confusion they counted on, gone. Every conversation from here looks different. Every reaction tells you something. The manipulator's only real power was your unawareness. That is gone too. See clearly, move quietly, trust what you feel. You cannot be handled twice.